I am getting real close to being ready to go here. Just checking off some things. Bringing the background music down a hair. There we go. And bring it back down a little bit more. Okay. Letting some of this music finish on out. Getting situated here, coming off of a rather busy week and a half or so. Really crazy busy. I haven't had much time to really plan my live streams like I like to, so things come across as kind of hectic. And then I finally have some free time, and it's super late. Normally later than what I usually end up live streaming. Letting this music play on out because I kind of like this particular background music. There we go. Fading that right out there because that's always nice. Okay. Got this, got the other thing. Yeah, there I was still trying to figure out how to make stuff work on my new to me PC. Well, it's not really new, it's kind of an old one that I've kind of rebuilt with a completely different operating system besides Windows 7. Yeah, a couple of weeks into Linux OS, and I'm still finding out how to do stuff. Let me just go ahead and do this. There we go. Yep. Hello, everyone. Whether you're catching me live, you're lurking out there, or you catch me on a replay, thank you for joining me tonight. What do I want to do here? I want to hit this. No, not that. Not that yet. Not yet. No, not yet on that. Okay. Well, I'm getting to that. Okay. And all of a sudden, my train of thought has completely derailed. I was making a point, and I just forgot what it was. So here I am trying to juggle a lot of different things all at once, and it's what you get for trying to multitask on a late night. No more multitasking. Single tasking is where it's at, especially when you're trying to live stream and get a bunch of stuff set together. And then it doesn't help that of all things, my desk chair has gone flat on me, for lack of a better term, when the cushion just isn't cushiony anymore. So my desk chair is dead. I'm on a little stool, one of those cushioned stools that can change the height, and like a doctor's office stool that the doctor sits in when he's like checking you over for a doctor's visit and whatnot. So I can either sit in my old office chair that has good back support, or I can sit on a cushy stool. And I'm on a cushy stool right now, just trying to get by. So yeah, trying to figure out how to make things work on a new operating system. 2 weeks in, and Linux operating system is still new to me. I'm still figuring out how to get stuff going. Because I've been a Windows user since Windows 3.1. The good old days of DOS and Windows 3.1, then Windows 95, and then Windows this, Windows that. And then I finally got to a point where I said, I've had my fill of Windows because I don't care for the company itself anymore, and I don't quite like the guy who's behind the company. And it's like, no, moving on. Oh, in the chat, I see people coming in. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. Let me put up my thumbnail for today's show, tonight's show. Yes. Hello, Tina the Naughty Dragon. With me in the background having a late supper. Yes. Very cool. Thanks for joining me tonight. And Dad Man Walking. Hello there. You can't stay, but have a great stream. Oh, that's cool. Sorry I wasn't able to catch y'all's stream earlier tonight. Like I said early in the tonight's stream, I'm coming off of a very busy week and a half, 2 weeks. So trying to live stream, it just hasn't worked out. It's been kind of iffy there. But anyway, that's cool. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi. Have a good evening. Let's see. What am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about one serious subject that I was kind of not wanting to talk about because I don't really like discussing heavy subjects or controversial subjects. But I kind of wanted to share some thoughts on something that happened. What was it? Last weekend, this past weekend, because conventions, fan conventions, whether they're Comic Cons or anime conventions, whatnot, they're I guess becoming the news again because everybody's like all of a sudden going to conventions. Like, oh, we weren't allowed to go any place for like 2 years where the country had ground to a halt. It's like, no, you can't go out and have fun. But now people are going out and having fun. It's like, oh, yay, we get to have fun again and we get to go out and be around other people. Oh, hello, Lemon Pie. Howdy. Good to see you tonight. So there's certain things that happened at what was it, C2E2 that I'm going to touch on. Something I see a very small part of a much bigger problem going on in this country. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about that, and then I'm going to talk about some fun stuff. I had thought about going on in depth about some things going on in the country, the larger issues that not only affects our society, our culture, our entertainment, but no, I don't want to do that. That would be I try to steer away from politics and politicking and all that. I'll save that. I'll leave that to other people. I may touch on it from time to time, but I tend to like talking about stuff I enjoy, like K-dramas or anime or a good sci-fi TV show or movie that's worth checking out. But sometimes you just have to stop and comment on things that are going around you that end up affecting our entertainment or how we view entertainment. Let's see. Looking over my show notes. I had actually written up like a little page and a half, almost 2 pages of monologue for this segment, but I've decided not to get into that because that would be kind of boring going into a scripted monologue. I'm going to refer to it for show notes and whatnot to chat about this particular subject, and then I'll be done with it. So, with all that said, might as well get into it and get it over and done with. If I hit the right button to make the thing do the thing. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out how to make stuff work in a Linux environment. All right. So right here, what this is John Malin's YouTube page. John Malin is part of the Comics Gate stuff. And I'm not going to play this video. I'm not going to EFAP this video. A number of YouTubers more knowledgeable on the subject than I have already EFAP'd essentially this video of John Malin, a comic book creator, comic book artist, walking around a convention, C2E2. And the big thing about this convention is a number of comic book creators like John Malin, Ethan Van Sciver, and a few others had tables set up, or a booth or whatnot. They had set up, well, they haven't set up. They didn't set up. They had purchased tables there, and they were ready to get going. They were ready to have tables and whatnot set up there, and then they were essentially canceled. They were booted from the convention. And let's see, trying to remember all the particulars because I guess it's been a week now. The particulars on it were they were booted because the convention organizers just didn't like them. It's like, no, you're this, that, and the other thing, and we don't like you. You're nasty, icky people, and we don't want you at our convention. This falls into the purview of the so-called cancel culture. As I'm just kind of fast forwarding and reversing through John Malin's video here. I'm not going to play it or anything, but I'm just going to get to a point where I'm going to show him. Let's see, it was like the 15-minute mark. He went there. He was uninvited, so he went and purchased a day pass on Saturday. He just simply wanted to go there and walk around as an attendee. And it got to a point where he was live streaming the whole time. He was live streaming saying, "Oh, look at me. I'm at a convention. Nothing's happening. Nothing bad is happening. I'm just simply walking around." That's the gist of it. Then at the 15-minute mark, he gets surrounded by convention security. Let's see. Thing is, at this point, he stops. Somebody walks up behind him, says, "Hey there, keep on walking. We're going to walk this way." And then he stops. There we go. He pans the camera up, and there's like 3 big security guards behind him. And then for the rest of the hour live stream, they have him pushed to one side right by an exit. He's essentially in a holding pattern, so to speak, at the convention as he's just having a nice chat with the security guards, going back and forth saying, yeah, do you guys know why you've been asked to escort me out of the convention? And he has it was actually a nice little conversation between him and the security staff. And he goes back and forth saying, kind of explaining who he is, what he does, what he was set up to do at that particular convention. And the guards, the security staff, one of them kind of stops, starts making some phone calls. And at the end of it, essentially they say, I guess they were having a back and forth with the convention owners, the convention staff people, saying, look, he's not causing any trouble. He's not making a disturbance. He's simply walking around the convention like everybody else. So at the end of this live stream, the security staff essentially tell them, okay, we see you're not causing any problem. We see you just being quiet, calm, collected. And essentially at the end of it, they just let him go about his way to enjoy the convention. So a lot of people have already discussed this and discussed the events that happened at this particular convention. I think it's rather kind of honestly, it's kind of silly. All the stuff going on at conventions, because this sort of thing is not terribly new. It's cancel culture. It's I forget the actor who said consequence culture or some such nonsense as that, but I think the term I was thinking of earlier in the week was trickle down. Like it's something that affects our society as a whole, a much larger scale, our culture, our society, and then it trickles down. Like our politics, our culture, our politics trickles down, affects our society, our that trickles down from our society to our culture, and then it trickles down from our culture to the entertainment we consume. So it's just it goes from one step to the other, getting progressively worse. It's a symptom of a much larger problem in our society. It's just that being plain and simple division. Now, if you're old enough to remember the 60s and 70s, you can kind of remember uh, how politics was way back then. You could have a disagreement with someone, and at the end of the day, you could like go out and hang out with them, and it's just a simple disagreement. That's no big deal. But now things have gotten so blown out of proportion. Imagine not being able to have a civil conversation with someone without them calling you every name in the book just because they don't like the way you vote or they don't like the things that you believe or the things you might believe in. No civil conversation, no discourse, no exchange of ideas. It's just if you believe a certain way, then you're a very terrible person. Yeah, Lemon Pie is saying sounds pretty ridiculous the way he was treated. Yeah, it was him. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember what was all that happened. It was him. It was Ethan Van Sciver. It was a few other comic book artists. I want to say I can't quite remember. There was somebody that had a press pass that was revoked. Who was it? Anna, the Star Wars girl. I believe she had a press badge that was revoked just because, again, cutting to the chase of it, it's differences in ideology. If you are even remotely right leaning, then the people on the left, those on the left that are take this to the extreme, see the people on the right as uh, the summation of every evil known to man. It's like even going so far as to calling you a historically evil person from World War II Germany. And I'm using coded language because, from what I understand, YouTube doesn't like certain words being said on a live stream. So you'll hear some YouTube people using the term Yahtzee. I think it's kind of silly that we have to disguise language to use words like Yahtzee because it sounds like a uh, bad person from World War II Germany. But that is where we are in today's society. It's ridiculous. Now, politically, I like to think I'm kind of in the middle. I look at people on the right, I look at people on the left, and I think, well, you guys got some good ideas over there, and you guys got some good ideas over there. And I like to think that is the great majority of people in this country. We all are about the same. We get up, we go to work, we go to school, we come back home, we have dinner, we got family. We might get up in the morning, get the kids off to school, rush off to work, do our work day, go back home, have dinner, sleep, repeat the process. Some of us on Sundays might get up, get the family together, and go to our religious institution of choice. So, yeah, we are all about the same. We get up, we do the same stuff, we hang out with a circle of friends and whatnot. Now, I can't even put into words how crazy society has gotten. Because I remember the 70s, I remember the 80s. I remember having disagreements with friends over politics and religion back then, and it was just that's what it was. It was disagreements. But now, unfortunately, we are being hmm, how to put it into words, directed, guided by the extremes from one side or to the other, and it is rather unfortunate because nobody wants this. Nobody wants our society divided, our culture divided, our entertainment divided. Nobody wants nobody wants what could be coming down the pipe. Oh, lemon pie. I don't know what C2E2 is. It's some kind of fan convention, from what I understand, like it's a Comic Con, like a fan convention, like anime conventions or Comic Cons or whatnot. They're all over the place, depending on if you like going to large conventions or whatnot. Let's see. Know what CG is, but I don't know what that convention. I only heard people talk about C2E2 or whatever it is. Yeah, Tina saying stuff like this is the reason I don't like leaving my cave at times. Yes, yes. Sometimes I don't like leaving my cave as well. It's like, come on, people, get a grip. We're all in the same boat. Just because somebody doesn't vote the way you do doesn't mean they're the enemy. There's not 80 million bad people in this country. They're your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, your classmates. Some of them might even attend the same church or religious institution as you do. Some of them might even be close family or friends who are so close they might even be considered family. But this is the sort of thing that really divides us on every single level in this country. And it's kind of sad because we really need to find some way of ironing this stuff out and coming to grips with our divisions because nobody wants to see how this will play out if left unattended. And I'm going to move from C2E2 or Comic Con or whatever it was. I'm going to show quickly a few Comicsgate related articles on cancel culture, how long this has been around. Tina saying cancel culture is in Canada. It doesn't seem as bad as the US. Yeah, I don't think we do anything by half measure. If we're going to go to the extreme, we're going to really go all out. I think, or I think it seems like that's what some people want to do. I don't believe the great majority of Americans are like that. Like I said, we are too busy getting up, going to work, getting things done, taking care of family and whatnot. It's like we really don't have time for this nonsense, especially the stuff that's going on in college campuses right now. I can understand protests, but when you do some unlawful stuff, you don't need to do that. You really need to stop that. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this particular subject of cancel culture. I want to move past this real quick and go on to some fun stuff I had come across. Quickly, I'm going to share some articles about cancel culture in Comicsgate and conventions and the convention scene. Let's see. I pulled up Bounding in the Comics website because they have a great many articles on cancel culture. This first one here, let me see if I can enlarge this. There we go. Bounding in the Comics, July 29th, 2022. So a couple of years ago. Article saying Marvel artist attempts to get Rippaverse colorist Gabe El Tayyib banned from all future Comic-Con events. Okay, so I'm not going to get into this. I'm not going to read this article in depth. I'm just using it as an example of how long this has been around, how pervasive it's been, and honestly, it's kind of ridiculous. I don't know what the end result of this is. I don't know what these people want. Do they want to excise half the country's population from entertainment? Do we really want a convention for the people who are on the left side of the politics and then a convention scene for the people who are on the right side? Do we really want to divide up our culture? It seems kind of ridiculous. It's the best thing I can think of to describe it is a house divided will not stand. And unfortunately, I hate to see it, that's is where we're headed. Yeah, Lemon Pie saying, yep, this is what they want. It's unfortunate because we don't need to go that route. We don't need to be divided like that. So there's that one. I mean, just imagine being like a average middle of the road person. You might have some views on the right, might have some views on the left, but all of a sudden somebody doesn't like you for some reason, and then they go on a crusade trying to get you banned from all future Comic-Con events. That's pretty ridiculous. Okay. Again, this is people in the entertainment industry talking about taking negative, I'll say negative action for political beliefs. IDW Star Trek senior editor Heather Antos calls for violence and riots following Supreme Court decision on Roe versus Wade. This is June 28th, 2022. And again, there's people on the right side who get worked up about stuff and go to the extreme. There's people on the left who get worked up and go to the extreme. I really think people just need to chill out. And then this is another Bounding in Comics article. Numerous Comicsgate Indiegogo campaigns appear to be getting shadow banned by the crowdfunding platform. Again, if your beliefs are a little bit right of center, then I don't know. It's ridiculous. Let's see. Moving a little bit further in the timeline, June 27th, 2023, last year, PVP webcomic creator Scott Kurtz contemplates trying to get Ethan Van Sciver banned from Garden State Comic Fest. like I said, I'm middle of the road myself. I look at people on the right going, yeah, you've got some good ideas there. I might look at a few people on the left and go, okay, well, that's idea might be worth contemplating. I'm probably more right than anything. I'm probably more on the right end of the dial than anything else. But I don't know. Like I said, we're all in the same boat. Dark Horse Comics writer Christoph Boggets says you can't have a career in mainstream comics and be a part of Comicsgate. August 16th of 2023. Christoph Bog, Boggat, Boggets. Bog, that is a very unusual name, and I'm probably butchering it, but oh well. This fella recently declared that comic book writers and artists cannot have a career in mainstream comics and be part of Comicsgate. So on and so on and so on. So yeah, I'm a little bit dismayed by all this because I've been watching it go on for at least 3, 4 years. Kind of silly when you think about it, but I don't know what the solution is aside from trying to bridge the gap, the gulf between the right and the left, telling both sides to essentially calm down and try to work things out because those of us in the middle are kind of tired of seeing this conflict. Short of that, I don't know. I guess a good analogy might be a marriage analogy like sometimes you just need a amicable separation or annulment of the marriage or a what do they call it, a no fault divorce. Might be kind of a rough analogy, but yeah, if that's in our future, I don't know. I'd like to see things just get worked out because this nonsense is getting really old really quick. But anyway, that's my 2 bits on the subject matter. Wasn't going to spend a lot of time on it. Some of it I can understand. Sometimes people on one side or the other do get unruly, do get out of hand, cause some trouble and whatnot. But most of the time, it's just people wanting to be in the comic books industry or whatever industry they are in. Whatever entertainment industry that is, because I haven't even touched on Hollywood. I've just been talking about comic books for the past ever how long I've been rambling on. 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. That's about 10, 15 minutes more than what I really wanted to spend on it, but it's just me rambling on at what is it? Midnight, past midnight. All right. Yeah, if I had brought up Hollywood and how Hollywood treats conservatives, I'd be here for another 2 or 3 hours at least. But anyway, I want to shift gears now and to go into stuff I was checking out because I thought would be kind of interesting to explore here. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Make that large screen. So there I was looking up articles on how to write comic books or how to write a comic book script or whatnot. Hoping to find a great deal of information on the subject matter, and sure enough, I found it. Oh, I found lots of information on comic book writing and such. And this is what is this? This is a master class. This website is called Masterclass. Let me see what it is. Yeah, masterclass.com articles, how to create a comic book step by step guide for making your own comic books. I thought this was kind of neat that I wanted to go over for my own edification. And then I thought I might want to work into this live stream that's comic book related and kind of go into something that is happy for a change. Let's see, from journalism to literary fiction to canceled seasons of television shows, contemporary comic books can spotlight any subject. They're bold and dark, funny and poignant, and have the same narrative power that other mediums do to move you to tears, make you laugh, or break your heart. Once an underrated and underappreciated art form, comic books are currently enjoying a renaissance in contemporary culture, thanks in large part to the success of blockbuster superhero films. Well, blockbuster superhero films of maybe 8, 9 years ago. But that would be another story for another time, as they say. Read more to find out you can write your own comic book with tips on everything from writing a comic book script, storyboard, inking, and more. And then we got a picture of Neil Gaiman right there. And we got sections. What is a comic book? When did comic books first become popular? What are the elements of a good comic book? What do you need to make a comic book? 10 examples of great comic books. How to come up with an idea for a comic book in 4 steps. Oh boy. How to structure a comic book in 3 steps. How to outline a comic book in 6 steps. And Neil Gaiman teaching the art of storytelling. Okay. So I was reading through this earlier because I've actually got I have a short outline of a short story I had in my head for a year or so, and about 2 or 3 pages of writing done on a short story. But I'm still working out the direction of it, the flow of it, dialogue, characters, going from point A to point B to point C, that sort of thing. And I started thinking, well, would this work better as a comic book or a short story? That's when I started looking up how to write a comic book. And one of the websites I came across here was, what are the elements of a good comic book? A panel, a gutter, a tier, splash page, spread, caption. Now, these are all elements of just about any comic book, really. What do you need to make a comic book? A writer, an editor, an artist, a letterer, colorist, and probably 2 or 3 associate editors. 10 examples of great comic books. Action Comics #1 by DC Comics, 1938. That's a good one. Two-Fisted Tales #25 by Harvey Kurtzman, 1951. The Acme Novelty Library #6 by Chris Ware, 1965. Where do I know that name from? Chris Ware. That sounds familiar. Anyway, Fantastic Four #51 by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, 1966. Watchmen by Alan Moore in 1986. That was a very good one. I even liked the movie Watchmen. I know Alan Moore had his problems with the movie. Alan Moore famously has problems with Hollywood in general, and he's kind of disassociated himself from any movie that has been based on any of his comic books, which is understandable. But honestly, some of his comic books are unfilmable. Like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is probably the best example of a comic book that cannot be accurately filmed or portrayed because of some very ugly things in that particular comic book. Well, Watchmen, I thought was a pretty good adaptation, even though there were some major changes to the plot and the story in the book. It still worked. Let's see. Mouse by Art Spiegelman, 1980. The Sandman, Preludes and Nocturnes by Neil. Is it Gaiman or I'll just say Neil Gaiman. Neil G. Neil, this fella, 1989. The Walking Dead #1 by Robert Kirkman. I have never gotten into The Walking Dead. Comic books or TV show. I know the TV show is still going on in one form or another, insanely. I'm actually getting kind of tired of zombies as a genre because I would like I'd like the entertainment as a whole to move past the zombie genre, whether it's movies, TV shows, or comic books. Just move on to something else. Like, hey, find another horror creature, get fascinated on, or whatnot. Let's see. Fun Home by Alison Bechdel, 2006. Lumberjanes #1 by Grace Ellis and Noelle Stevenson, 2014. Okay, so a few of these I'm simply not familiar with, but a few of them everybody knows, like Action Comics #1, Superman, Watchmen, Sandman, Walking Dead, Mouse, everybody, Fantastic Four, everybody's familiar with those. How to come up with an idea for a comic book in 4 steps. Think of a story idea that would work well visually. Yeah. Next, work out the rough structure of your comic book. Think about the grand opening, the big plot points, the climax, and resolution. Number 3, write brief personality profiles of your main characters. Who are they? What do they want? What are their strengths and weaknesses? Where do they start out and where do they end up? What central conflict do they face and overcome? Think of extraordinary settings and strong, powerful emotions like love, death, anger, good, evil. How are these represented in your comic books? So that all looks really interesting. And we got like 6 steps to outline a comic book. Kind of started on one outline. We got another idea for another short story, which the more I think about, David Mamet teaches dramatic writing. I just saw that name, and I'm kind of a fan of this particular fellow. He's a novelist, screenwriter, director. There's a number of movies by David Mamet that are really, really good. Just about any movie by him, I highly recommend. That might be a subject for another show at a later time. Catching up with the chat. Lemon Pie saying, agree. Move on past zombies. Never liked zombies as a theme. Which is kind of funny because that does make me think of I was actually hanging out with a good friend of mine about 8-10 years ago, and she's on the left politically, and we were just chatting about TV shows and movies and sci-fi and stuff, and she had made this odd observation that when one political party that starts with an R is in the White House, vampires are popular in entertainment. When the opposite party is in the White House, zombies are popular in the entertainment. I thought that was a very odd correlation to make. I don't know why I just thought of that. It's just zombies. And then it's like, oh, I spent the past previous 30 minutes or so talking about politics and entertainment. And just somehow my mind's just connected the two. It's like, oh, that oddly clicked. It's like, uh, get up from my desk to get a quick drink here to wet my whistle. Okay. Oh, yes. Tina saying the only zombie movie I can watch over and over again is the original Night of the Living Dead. That's a good one. Yeah, wet the old whistle. When I'm yammering on about stuff pointlessly, its mouth gets kind of dry there for a spell. Let's see, what other articles was I looking at? Because I was looking at a number of articles here. This is another masterclass article: 7 tips for writing your first comic book. November 24th, 2021. Every literary element that feels essential to a novel, short story, or screenplay, a compelling plot, steady character development, a classic 3-act structure, vivid world building, also applies to the comic book format. Learn more about how to write a comic book with these key tips. Surround yourself with a brilliant team. Trust your collaborators. Understand basic story structure. Plan a story that can be serialized. Use the form to its fullest potential. Rely on key archetypes. Play with genre. So that's pretty good tips. Let's see. Anyone who knows how to write a comic book can tell you that it's a collaborative process. The team that puts together comic books, as well as graphic novels, manga, webcomics, and other forms of sequential art, include editors, comic artists, and illustrators, letterers, and colorists. Unless you are one of those rare people that can do all of the above. I think there's been a number of comic book companies that have come and gone from the early mid 80s. That's been like a one man band sort of process, or maybe one guy and then maybe one or two other people that handled the art. I can't remember the names of the companies now, but they came and went. Very short-lived companies. A lot of self-publishing going on out there since, well, usually since the 70s. Even today, if I were to walk in any comic book store, there's usually, depending on the comic book store, there might be like a very small section, maybe a very small shelf of local independent artists that try to put together their own little comic book. Usually it might be printed out on a 8.5 by 11 paper that's stapled in the middle and then folded in half to form like a little booklet. You'll always have those people out there. Let's see. Now there was one. Oh, here we go. This is Big Red Hair. As I try to, let's see, enlarging. Oh, too big. Enlarging this web page here. This article on We Teach Comic Books Workshop and Learning Resources. Okay, this one looks pretty interesting. I have not really delved too much into this website, but it looks like they have a great deal of information on it. Let's see. Good comic book writers think in pictures as well as words. A quote by Anina Bennett. Let's see. You can read. Oh, yes, they have a couple of resources you can download and check out, like an outline and then everything that goes into that. Let me go over to that because that was kind of interesting to see the process. There we go. The process of making a comic book. This is a little PDF you can download from their website, Creative Chaos, Making Stories. Anina Bennett and Paul Guinan. And this is Heartbreakers Boilerplate, the name of their book. Now, this is pretty neat. The process itself, the plot breakdown. You can see the little storyboard they have here, just a spiral bound notebook. They've scribbled out their ideas from one bit to the next, how things might flow, the process, plot notes. That's kind of interesting. We got all kinds of notes all over the place, and some of the notes have been X'd out, like, no, we don't want these ideas. Thumbnail layouts for the book itself. It's really interesting to see the process of how it's laid out, what goes into the plotting, the diagramming of it. When we get to the script itself, the digital illustration process. And then they got the finished result of the end result of the finished pages. So that's kind of neat. So yeah, that was the end of it. That was the end of my comic book segment. So I touched on Masterclass, how to create a comic book with Neil Gaiman's step-by-step guide for making comics. All right. Now I'm going to get into some TV shows and whatnot I thought were kind of interesting. As I hit this, there we go. This is a Collider article from this year, actually, March 30th of this year. The 10 most underrated shows on Apple TV, according to Collider. While acclaimed series like Ted Lasso and Severance are worthy of the love they get, these Apple TV shows also deserve viewers' attentions. Okay, so let's dig into this. I got number 10 is a show called Physical. Rose Byron at its center. Annie Weissman's entertaining comedy show tackles themes of identity and self-discovery while illustrating the story of a woman's struggle to find her place in the world. Okay, probably not one I would be interested in watching. It's got an audience, though, for somebody out there. Number 9, The Reluctant Traveler with Eugene Levy. Okay. For those who enjoy engaging documentaries or reality TV shows about exploring new cultures, The Reluctant Traveler with Eugene Levy is a great pick. Okay, I used to watch some of those travel shows way back when. I forget the name of it. There was one show about a guy who traveled around the world checking out food. It was a big guy, Simern, I forget his name, but anyway, he was a chef, and he wanted to look at what other cultures ate. Essentially, like he thought that the whole premise of his travel show was traveling around the world, seeing Lemon Pie saying Anthony Bourdain. No, not Anthony Bourdain. It was another fella. Andrew Sherman something. Andrew S. I want to say. It was kind of entertaining because he would not only look at the different cultures and what they ate, he would like get into the society itself. It's kind of interesting. I'll probably think of the name like tomorrow or a few days from now. I was like, oh, that's the show I was trying to think of. Let's see. Number 8 on this list is Servant. Uh-huh. Blending the horror, mystery, and drama genres, Servant sees a Philadelphia couple and mourning after a tragedy causes a rift in their marriage, consequently opening a door for a mysterious force to enter their home. In the meantime, they hire an 18-year-old Leanne Grayson to be the nanny for late infant Jericho, who has been replaced with a newborn doll. Okay, this is a very odd series. I'd actually sat through all 4 seasons of it and found it rather odd. Good cast of characters, good acting, good production value, well casted. Let's see, starring Lauren Ambrose and Toby Keeble, and then Nell Tiger Free. Oh, that's it. Lemon Pie. Yes, that's it. Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmern. That's right. That's it. That's the show I was thinking of. It's Zimmern because every time I see his name, I want to say Zimmerman, but no, it's Zimmern. And in the background, if my microphone is picking it up, one of my little kitty cats is woken up, chiming in, saying, what are you doing talking to yourself when you should be paying attention to us? Yes, just a kitty cat wanting attention. I'll check on him in a few minutes when I wind the show down. He'll calm down in a little bit. Anyway, Servant. This is a very strange show. Like I said, I'd watched all 4 seasons of it and felt like it was easily a season too long because it did kind of bog down in the middle of it. I was like, what it is the couple, Philadelphia couple, they're in mourning because their infant child dies tragically. They're in mourning. They get this doll. A therapist gives them this doll to help with the grieving process. The mother, the wife in the marriage, is having a hard time, and she's having a hard time letting go, understandably. So the doll is kind of gets doted on. But then she goes as far as hiring a nanny to take care of the doll. And then one day they're walking by the nursery and they hear a baby cry come from the nursery. And both of them just stop and like look at each other like, what the heck is going on? So they go in and they see the nanny cradling a real live infant in her arms. The doll is nowhere to be seen. So you get the feeling that something supernatural is going on with the show. And they spend the rest of the show, going on about the who, the what, and the why for behind it. A bit convoluted. Not entirely sure I liked this particular show. Like I said, it could have been trimmed down easily by maybe not a whole season, maybe like 3.5 seasons or 3 seasons instead of 4. It did feel like it was dragging in the middle, which is common for some shows. You start strong, you kind of drag or slow down in the middle, and then you kind of end maybe not as strong as you started, but you still kind of end on a good note. This show is just plain weird. Like sometimes I come across TV shows that I can recommend, or some TV shows that I won't recommend. This is somewhere in between, which is kind of common for some of the TV shows I find on Apple Plus. Lemon Pie saying, "Oh yeah, finished dinner and fell asleep on the couch." Oh yes, well, it is pretty late even for me to do a live stream, so that's understandable. This is kind of a spur of the moment thing for me. Normally, I don't start this late. I try to start like 10:30, but this past week or so has been really crazy busy for me. So some of my live streams either didn't happen, or they just didn't happen at all, or they kind of got started late. Oh, that's your theory anyhow. Oh, I see. Yeah, let's see. I do want to thank you all for joining me tonight, whether you're live, lurking, or catch it on a replay. Let's see who's Tina. Let's see. Dad Man popped in and said hi. Lemon Pie, you're still about. Very cool. Let's see what's on this list. Acapulco, 2021 to present. Not familiar with this one. Let's see. Hilarious Acapulco depicts the dream of a young Mexican man coming true. Oh, what depicts the dream of a young Mexican man coming true when he gets a job offer of a lifetime at a decades old, well respected, and preserved resort. Things get complicated when he soon realizes the job is far more troublesome than he ever anticipated. Okay. Let's see. Effective acting performances on top of an enthralling plot. It's a comedy series that will have comedy fans hooked. Oh, that sounds interesting. I may look into that one. Schmigadone. Ever how you pronounce that word? That's an odd word. Yeah, Lemon Pie is saying, wouldn't working at a resort be not so great? It's not like you're laying on the beach all day. Yeah. Yeah, it would be like that for any kind of service industry job. You're there, you're working, unless you really like your job, you're not going to have fun. Anything like at a resort or a hotel, vacation area, I can't imagine. That's just another job for a lot of people. That service type industry. Let's see. This one follows a couple of doctors played by Keegan Michael Key and Cecily Strong while on a backpacking trip unearth a magical town in which everyone acts like they're in a classic musical and become trapped in the musical theater universe. Oh boy, it's a musical comedy. Yep, moving right along. Big Sisters. Okay, no. Family drama. No, moving right along. Trying 2020 to 2024. Oh, Tina saying you're basically right. I literally and figuratively shopped till I dropped today, so I'm a little tired. Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, lemon pie. So maybe it's a little petty. No, no, that's understandable. I've actually, I haven't worked for a hotel, but I've provided other. I've worked a job where I essentially set up meeting equipment in hotels. I did that like 30 some odd, not quite 30 years, 20 some odd years ago. I worked for an audio video company that set up presentation equipment and hotel meeting rooms for companies to go in hotels and have their company meetings. So yeah, not quite the same, but yeah, I can understand people working in hotels and might not have very fun day of it. And Tina did a bit of shopping. That's cool. Trying. What is trying? It's number 4 on their list. Focuses on a couple who can't have children and therefore decide to adopt. However, dysfunctional friends, family, and overall chaotic lives make it difficult for the two decide to survive the new challenges and surprises that come with the adoption process. Okay, it sounds like a drama and maybe a comedy. Okay. Oh, number 3 on the list, Silo. Silo was a very good first season. Actually, it was kind of surprising because it started Silo, first episode in, not knowing what to expect from it. Thought it was kind of odd, kind of slow. And honestly, I get kind of tired of the dystopian science fiction shows. I would really like to see less dystopian sci-fi shows and maybe more utopian, for lack of a better word or lack of a better phrase. Like, yeah, let's have some good sci-fi shows out there about people having a great future that didn't involve some kind of climate catastrophe or everybody blowing themselves up and whatnot. Yeah, the dystopian dramas I get kind of tired of, much like zombies. But Silo, once I got into it, I quite enjoyed it because they did spend like a couple episodes doing the world building, doing the character development, setting everything up, and then revealing the mystery that was behind the show. So well done, series. Well done. Season 2, from what I've recently read, season 2, I believe, has been filmed. We're just waiting on a release date for season 2. Let's see. After starring in films like Reminiscence and Denis Villeneuve's fan favorite Dune, Rebecca Ferguson rightfully took the leading role in this Apple TV Plus's sci-fi mystery show, which illustrates a giant silo underground where men and women live under various regulations that supposedly protect them from a toxic and ruined world on the surface. And my kitty cat is chiming in as well, or one of them. Is it about grain silos? No, no. And it's not about resort silos either. Uh, Dystopian science fiction TV series, a drama. It's one of the few shows of recent that I would recommend checking out. Silo on Apple Plus. Got a nice little mystery behind it. A little mystery of uh, who built the silos, why they built them, why people can't leave. Let's see. This says Silo is arguably still not gathered as much attention as Foundation. Ooh. Foundation is another Apple TV Plus show based on a series of novels by Isaac Asimov, the Foundation trilogy. But the TV show is a sad disappointment. If you've ever read the Foundation novels, there is no connection or very little connection between the TV show and the novels aside from the name and maybe the names of the characters, but that's about it. Actually, that's one of the shows I can't recommend. If you've ever read the Foundation trilogy by Isaac Asimov, you will be sadly disappointed by the TV show. Let's see. One of the best shows on the streaming platform. Yeah, Silo's one I could recommend. This says it has 2 seasons. Okay, maybe they've come out with. Have they come out with season 2? That I don't know. I think I read something a few days ago that they were still working on a release date for season 2. I could be wrong. Okay, number 2 on the list, Drops of God. Okay. Quoc Dang Tran's French American Japanese television series sees a woman played by Flore. Oh, these names. Geffrier, whatever that name is, uncover the world's greatest wine collection that's left by her late father, who passed away at his home in Tokyo at the age of 60, and confronting his oenologist protege and spiritual son to claim her inheritance. Okay, so this sounds like a family drama. Lemon Pie saying, I've read Brave New World. Was that ever made into a show or movie? Brave New World. I'm familiar with the novel. I've never read it myself. Uh, Goodness, that is a good question. I kind of want to say it might have been. Okay. Number 1 on this list, Pachinko, based on New York Times bestseller of the same name by Manjin Lee. The outstanding Apple television series Pachinko portrays the 4 generations of a Korean immigrant family, highlighting their ambitions, hopes, and dreams as they leave their country on a quest to survive and thrive while bringing the light of discrimination of Korean immigrants and Japanese civilization. Ooh. Okay, that sounds like a particularly heavy drama. Okay. I don't know. If you're into heavy dramas, that one might be interesting. Pachinko. Drops of God, the show about somebody wanting their inheritance, might be interesting. Silo is one I can recommend. And the others I really don't know about or probably will never watch. Servant, I'm terribly on the fence about, but probably leaning toward no. Unless you've got a lot of time on your hands and want to watch something that is honestly kind of long and tedious just to get to the end, you could probably skip Servant. The Reluctant Traveler with Eugene Levy, that might be worth checking out if you like travel type shows. The others, not so much. Let's see. What was the next article on my list here? Inside the Magic, Disney's biggest flop is making a comeback. Let me see if I can enlarge this article. Nope, too big. Nope, right there. All right. So, of all the movies Disney's put out, I never would have thought John Carter was one of their biggest flops. But here it is. And then they've got pictures of the Little Mermaid, and a couple of actors from their MCU movies, Marvel Studios. No, I would have considered any of these movies associated with these actors to be a bigger flop than John Carter. I remember checking that out. I want to say in the theater when it first came out. I can't remember. I actually kind of liked John Carter. I think the biggest problem with John Carter the movie was the marketing. I kind of felt like Disney or Sony, whoever was behind it at the time, really didn't know how to market this film, which is kind of unfortunate because it had a lot of potential. It was kind of interesting. It was fun. It was a fun kind of popcorn, cheesy action flick. I didn't hate it. Let's see. As the article goes, 2023 was a challenging year for the Walt Disney Company. While they found some success with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Little Mermaid, and Elemental, all of its other releases bombed gloriously. While it may be easy to think any of these were the worst things to happen to Walt Disney, you'd be wrong. There's always John Carter. Hmm. Based on a novel, Princess of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs, John Carter follows a Confederate Army captain after he finds himself in the middle of a conflict on Mars. Movie starred Taylor Kitsch as John Carter, Lynn Collins as Deja Thoris, Samantha Morton as Sola, Willem Dafoe as Tars Tarkus, Thomas Hayden Church, Mark Strong, so on and so on. Oh, 2000. Oh, it's directed by Finding Nemo. Earning 284.1 million on a 350 million budget. I was thinking it had earned more than that. Huh. But now it looks like it may actually come back. John Carter is coming back from the dead. So Disney is taking another stab at it. Oh, Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated has created a website that reads John Carter is coming over a red planet similar to Mars. Has a countdown with just over 32 days left as of March 29th. Huh. Okay, I did not know this. It's does this mean it's going to be released or is it going to be announced? Something new? I was about to say, if they had made the movie and they're about to release it, it flew way under the radar. Now, if they can do a better job with it this go around, it might be fun to see. Created a website. I'll open a new tab. I still can't believe it's their biggest bomb. I would have, if I was a betting person, I would have put money on any of the MCU movies bombing harder than John Carter. And here we go. Here we go. John Carter is coming. Signals were heard on Mars. One word was received. Rise. And you click on that. It does that. Oh, join John Carter and experience the epic science fiction saga like never before. Coming from Pocket Universe Productions and Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated. Oh, John Carter of Mars, the audio series. Oh, okay. So they're doing that, and I guess Disney's working on. We've got a press release here. And again, I say, that could be interesting. That could be interesting. Who knows? Who knows, really? All right, moving right along. I thought this was neat. I kind of like Harlan Ellison. I like some of his stuff. I haven't really read much of his works, but I've always liked seeing Harlan Ellison when he was alive on TV because he always had some pretty sharp commentary. I remember seeing his commentary bits on what was it? Was it Sci-Fi Channel or was it Tech TV or ZD TV? Anyway, he did these colorful commentaries about entertainment out there in TV shows and what he liked and what he disliked. His commentaries alone were always entertaining just in themselves. He had one uh, commentary bit on called Pay the Author, where he went on about how you should always pay writers for their work. That you should never expect anyone creative to do anything for free, essentially. And that was a very good commentary. Let's see. Los Angeles Magazine. This was March 29th of this year. Harlan Ellison's last words, the ambitious plan for sci-fi writers' posthumous comeback. Longtime friend and Babylon 5 creator J. Michael Straczynski endeavors to reshape the legacy of the late sci-fi writer. And it goes on. See, this is J. Michael Straczynski, JMS, talking about his longtime friend. He's talking a bit here about Harlan Ellison's house. The house is largely as he left it in 2018 when he died there at age 84. For much of his life, Ellison was a leading writer of science fiction. He preferred the less restrictive label speculative fiction. A close friend to colleagues, including Isaac Asimov and Neil Gaiman, I'm never clear on. I keep forgetting how that's pronounced, but anyway, that's just me. But also notorious among his many enemies and comrades in Hollywood in the once insular science fiction world. Upstairs at the house were Ellison's manual typewriter, tobacco pipes, and a row of rocket-shaped Hugo Awards remain. It is familiar and sacred ground to his old friend, writer and producer J. Michael Straczynski. His personality is in that house. You can feel him in every inch of the place, says Straczynski, creator of the popular 90s sci-fi TV series Babylon 5 and the author of multiple books and screenplays. He is executor of Ellison's estate, and he often spends time at the house alone, immersed in the dazzling milieu of his late mentor his late mentor created in life. And most famously, Ellison wrote the story for a very famous Star Trek episode, City on the Edge of Forever, I want to say. It was Star Trek TOS. And they had odds with Gene Roddenberry over his screenplay. That was a pretty famous battle between Ellison and Roddenberry at the time. Oh, here we go. City on the Edge of Forever. Ellison was once among the most popular purveyors of science fiction, a regular at fan conventions, a frequent guest on national TV talk shows, a prolific short story writer, essayist, and critic with multiple titles in print. He was famous for writing what is most often listed as best episode of the original Star Trek, The City on the Edge of Forever, starring Joan Collins as Captain Kirk's tragic love interest, for which he won a Hugo Award. He was, as Straczynski now describes him, a brightly colored, fast-moving object. Standing 5 feet 5 inches, Ellison battled hard for the rights of Hollywood writers and had a hair trigger for filing lawsuits. He was paid a settlement by the film studio behind The Terminator after claiming the film was suspiciously similar to a 1964 episode he wrote for The Outer Limits. Writer-director James Cameron has always denied the allegation. Pay the writer was Ellison's mantra and his calling. His earliest public battle may have been his appearance in Gay Talese's famous Esquire article, Frank Sinatra Has a Cold, where Ellison and the crooner had a memorable conflict inside a Beverly Hills club and nearly came to blows. So yeah, I'm not going to go over this whole article. I just thought it was a really entertaining read because I kind of liked Harlan Ellison as a personality. I've yet to read any of his works, but I'm familiar with his works and what he's done for TV shows. That was just a really fun article. If you're a fan of J. Michael Straczynski and Harlan Ellison, you probably have already come across this one. Let's see. Oh, one article left. This was kind of a unusual spur of the moment live stream on a Friday night. Normally I do Monday nights and Wednesday nights, but the past few weeks I've been crazy busy and haven't really had much time to put anything decent on a Monday night or a Wednesday night. And I had some free time and making use of my insomnia, as I often joke about weaponizing my insomnia. Let's see here. Last article of the evening. I thought this was fun. Another Bounty in Comics article from March 18th of this year. Dynamite Comics revives Space Ghost for a brand new serious run in May. I actually got excited by this. There's not much comic book news out there I would really get excited about. Not very many new comic books out there I even care to pick up and read. But once I saw this, I thought, hey, I might want to check this out. This is a brand new serious take on Space Ghost. Following their surprise adaptation of Thundercats and news of other licensed Warner Brothers Discovery IPs, Dynamite Comics blasts off for an adventure into deep space starring a character more recognizable for his satirical late night show, Space Ghost. And of course, there's an image of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which was always a fun show to catch an episode of. Let's see. It says, from the team of David Propose, Punisher, and Jonathan Lau, Vampirilla Strikes, Dynamite's new series looks like it's taking an edgier turn than Hanna-Barbera cartoon that befits its period and the studio's tongue-in-cheek style. Yeah. Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Yes. So many good shows. And some of them were completely out there, weren't they? Let's see. As the article continues on, greed and corruption flourish, and the darkness between stars begins the official solicitation, with the territories of the Galactic Federation spread far and wide across the vastness of space. Pirates and hijackers ransack the distant colonies with cruel disregard for the innocent scientists living within them. And then we get a shot of, I guess, is cover art. Dynamite Comics cover art. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, that's running live 24/7 on YouTube. Yeah, it's what is it? Shoutcast? No, it's Shout Factory. It's Shout Factory like puts out special deluxe versions of DVDs and Blu-rays of different movies and TV shows, which is pretty cool. And they've done that for Farscape. They've got like a 24/7 stream of Farscape and a bunch of other stuff on their YouTube channel. And I sat and watched a little bit of Space Ghost Coast, and then I started. I just left it on while I was doing stuff around the house. And talk about a blast from the past. But this cover art looks pretty cool. This looks like a very good. Let me see if there we go. I made it enlarge the web page too much. I'm going to click on this. Okay, there's the Hanna-Barbera style art. Oh, that's pretty neat looking. Ooh. That looks mean. I'm genuinely interested in this book now. Just this image and then this image. If this is what the book is about, that does look kind of edgy. That looks like a very good, serious take on the character. I'm going to have to go to a local comic book store now and look for this, or maybe find it on eBay or some such, because it's what did it say? It come out in May. Okay. Dynamite Entertainment is bringing back Space Ghost. Let's see. As the article continues, yet there is a cosmic vigilante who metes out justice throughout the galaxy, bringing vengeance to those who prey upon the defenseless. Some say is a policeman who has abandoned the strictures of the law. Others say is a phantom, the sole survivor of a war-torn planet, and those who have survived his wrath claim he is more of a force of nature, able to bend the very elements of creation to decimate his enemies. And we get another image of the Hanna-Barbera series from 1966. We have an origin story on our hands. Actually, there's been another comic book stab at Space Ghost. I actually have this book someplace. That was a pretty good. Do I have it within? No, I was curious if I had it within arm's reach of it, but no, I I actually cleaned up my desk earlier today and moved stuff around, so I do not have that Space Ghost comic book or graphic novel anywhere near me, unfortunately. Oh well, I would have shown it off saying, oh, this is another attempt at a Space Ghost graphic novel that was a pretty good origin story for the character. And then we got a little video here. I won't play that. Dynamite is seemingly starting over as they have done in the past routinely with Flash Gordon, the Shadow, Green Hornet, and lesser known pulps like the Spider and the Black Bat. Huh. Don't know that. I'm not familiar with that. I'll have to look that up. However, they aren't wiping the slate completely clean and have always drawn from the deep well of a given property's lore. Okay. 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 If they stick to the lore of the character, that should be interesting. And here's a shot of Space Ghost Coast to Coast with Conan O'Brien. Yeah. Yes, yes. Lemon Pie saying it's good, random, odd humor when no one is in the mood. Yes. Who else could be far behind? Zorak, Moltar, Brack? Find out. Space Ghost is back in comics starting, May 1st from Dynamite. Okay, so it's like May 4th. So, yeah, this book is out. So that's cool. And we get another shot of the Space Ghost Coast to Coast episode here. Space Ghost Grandpa, as voiced by Randy Savage, pays a visit to the set on Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Season 4, Episode 18, Pile Driver. Wow, 1980, 1997. 1997. Wow. So long. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I am too tired to even attempt a Randy Savage impression. That was pretty funny. Space Ghost George Lowe arrives in the studio on Space Ghost Coast to Coast Season 1, Episode 1, Spanish translation, 1994. Wow, so long ago. So very long ago. I always go on about how the 80s were a great decade, but the 90s had some really good stuff in it as well. All right, just taking another look at this Space Ghost cover art, which I hope is the actual cover art for the books. Although that is a pretty cool cover as well. That's not bad either. If these are like alternate issues or alternate covers for like issue number 1, I would have no problem buying variant issues. That'd be pretty good for a poster. That would be pretty cool for a poster. That would be pretty cool for a poster as well. So yeah. I don't know. Rare for me to get excited about new comic books, but that one could be entertaining. Hopefully. Hopefully. I always leave room to be disappointed in stuff, given the current cultural climate. Let's see. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing out there? Lemon Pie, you're still active. How's Tina the Naughty Dragon? Tina, are you still around or have you fallen asleep? Anyway, I've been rambling on here for some time, talking about a great many things. Some I don't particularly care for, and then some stuff I did find myself enjoying. Some stuff I was really interested in about, and then the Space Ghost comic book. If I get that in the future, I'll probably show that on a future Saturday comic book stream. As check out what time it is. It's getting a hair late, so I do believe I will end things for tonight. Let's see. Tina. The first out of the gate and the chat was Tina the Naughty Dragon. And then Dad Man Walking. He popped in, said hi, but couldn't stay. Lemon Pie said hi. Ah, Tina, you're still here. Very cool. Yep. Nice stream. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Sometimes I try, like I said at the start, I try to avoid all things politics. Sometimes politics happen and you really just can't ignore it. Especially stuff, how politics influences culture and entertainment and things like fan conventions. Like when they get to a point where people decide who can and cannot be part of conventions, that is just silly. That's ridiculous. But anyway, I wanted to end on a fun note, and that Space Ghost comic book was fun, or it looks fun. I'm hoping it would be good. I'm kind of looking forward to looking for that and checking it out. Anyway, this has been kind of a fun spur of the moment live stream for a late night Friday night. I want to thank you all for hanging out, whether you're live, caught me live, you're lurking out there, or you catch us on a replay. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Good night, everybody. And tomorrow, I'm still looking forward to doing a comic book live stream tomorrow. Well, I should say later today at 2 p.m. Central Time. I'll talk about some random comic books I've come across. So that will be interesting. Until next time, everyone, have a good night, good morning, good afternoon. See y'all later. Thank you all for joining me. And there we go. Getting the ending theme going there, everybody. That's it. Good night, all.